I'll request Rishabh to give a little background of the subject of the session and moderate the session also.
Thank you, sir. So, while we were having conversations, and this interestingly has been, was one of the ideas behind the conception of LandStack as an organization also when me and Pranav were discussing about it even before we had a name, is that there are many different kinds of plurality in terms of there is many different kinds of plurality in terms of the way land tenure works in our country across states. We have expertise almost spanning all across different states, length and breadth of India, with different forms, and they've seen it much more than I have. And while doing that, and while during recent conversations with MicroSafe Consulting, like Vikram and Ritesh are from there, they have been involved almost since the conceptualization of AgriStack. I mean, before AgriStack was, from the point where AgriStack was just an idea to the first set of people who actually formulated and designed the three main registries on which AgriStack is based on, which is, so they'll talk more about it, and the larger intent behind AgriStack is that how do we create a digital backbone to support different kinds of agriculture in the country. So the larger intent behind today's discussion is to understand how the initiatives like AgriStack, but also other digital backbones take other rural forms of tenure into account. How do we make sure that more and more of this can reach to marginalized while taking many other things into account as well. So maybe I'll just, the rough structure which I had in mind was that we can start with Ritesh and Vikram walking us through some of their work from the early stages of AgriStack, and how the thinking has evolved, and how are you sort of dealing with the tenancy question, and what has worked, what has not worked. And then I'd like Sarita ma'am, who has had an extensive experience across land record digitization, to talk about her work from Maharashtra, because she has models which clearly have worked really well in Maharashtra, and what lessons of it potentially can be scaled out of Maharashtra. And then we'll get to Vinod sir, who has had more experience than all of us put together in the land space. And then we'll open it up for questions. So over to you, Vikram and Ritesh.
Thank you and good morning everyone. So I think before we dive into tenure and plurality, I think while trying to explain is what exactly AgriStack is and what we've been trying to do for the last 2-3 years. So that it sets the base, and I think we have a clear understanding what we were trying to achieve and what we have missed and what we're trying to solve still with AgriStack. So eventually, when I think the journey started back 2-3 years ago, I think the whole idea was basically to have a tech stack where farmer is at the center, and where we try to have an integrated approach across the whole ecosystem. And why do I say that farmer is at the center and have an integrated approach is because initially when the first dash as an organization we had at the large scale with agriculture was when we rolled out DBT fertilizer. That's back in 2017. I think the whole idea when we rolled out that program, the idea was that we solve or find or try to curb the leakage in the program. And I think one thing we realized during that journey was, the government or the ministry always tries to have an approach to solve a specific problem, but they don't have an ecosystem view on things. And second, what we realized was that farmer is not at the center of it. Okay, the whole digital DBT fertilizer program rolled by the government of India focused on just mapping the value chain and getting an Aadhaar identifier in front of each person who bought the fertilizer bag at a shop. There was no focus on the thing that is the person coming to the shop, a farmer or a cultivator or a tenant or someone. So I think that was the first brush that we had, and we realized that farmer has to be put at the center if you want to solve agriculture as a whole. And I think that with that idea, I think we started working on AgriStack. Okay, the first conversation that we had at the ministry was like what's the problem or what are the 3 or 4 things that plague the whole agriculture sector as a whole. We understand there are low yields, people are not getting advisory on time, there's no access to market, every state has a different issue, and all these things were there. But I think what we realized or what we zeroed down to was 3 core issues. I think so. One was we don't even know who the farmer is in real time. Okay, you have historical data coming in, or near real time, we don't even know where the farmer is, what land is does he have, or what crop does he have. Forget about the tenancy that comes secondly. We don't even know who the owner was in near real time. Or when I say near real time, I basically mean in like if I have to get data from a state in like 15-20 days, still it was difficult until somebody came in and we processed and understood the whole ROR. So you can put up the presentation.
Actually, the development can be in front of you also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
वो लैपटॉप शिफ्ट करना है
We'll just I
yeah,
have asked her.
you can shift
So till the time I think that's something. So I think the 3 problems that we started the AgriStack journey was with, if you can define or identify who the farmer is. Second, what is the land does he have? Where does he have that land? And what crop does he have at the given period when we are serving the farm?
Do you want to? Okay, I'll do it for you.
Yeah.
I can just.
And better procurement is getting streamlined a little bit. So I'll just show the saturation also. This is the saturation that's happened across days. Farmer ID, when I say these are the final farmer IDs that have been issued. Temporary IDs are there, but that's gone up to 7 or 10 crores. But what we have not been able to do is do the ground validation or ground truthing. When I say the numbers which I show is with the ground truthing and the validation completed across states. 10-11 states are doing very well. Some states are a little behind. But I think so by another 2-3 years, a lot of these states will cross 50-60%. But I think that the issue that we are struggling, or the ministry is struggling, I think I'll come to the last slide, where we try to showcase. Can we jump to the last slide? Just can you go back on the tenancy? It's just this one. So the issue that we are struggling is since in the design we took owners as the base, or people whose name is there in the report of rights. Tenancy is a big issue, okay? Because a large population does the sharecropping or cultivation or tenancy comes into play. There is no such digital database available where we can map it against the farm ID. I think day before, I think the ministry we had a consultative workshop across the sector, and a lot of people participating on how do we bridge this gap till the time the farmer registry comes up, matures, or is saturated completely. Because once it is saturated, we definitely can issue a temporary register for cultivation rights, go on to the Andhra old model of certificate of cultivation, certificate of agriculture and all that we can issue. But till that time gap is not built, or that bridge is not covered, how do we have that bridge in between which says, okay, this is the temporary cultivators of registers, you give them benefits, because in India a lot of benefits are sourced basis the land, okay? Fertilizer, seeds, credit, all of land is used as a source. So how do we do that? And this is, I think, where I'll end and say that we are still trying to deliberate how do we define a cultivator first, how do we get the tenancy into play, and then eventually get them into the AgriStack system. Because AgriStack will be a final approach where we are saying, okay, this is the core integrated system where everybody is there, your farmers are there, your owners are there, your tenants are there, your private players are there, your government organizations there, and it will become a one-stop system for issuing benefits for agriculture. So I think that's from me.
So probably just to add, because the experts are here and they will talk about the legacy, or the sort of the legal aspects of tenancy and how it could be resolved, because they are concerned from the owner side and then they are concerned from the tenant side also, and how.
It's around now 2023 when Maharashtra incorporated itself into the DCS. So Maharashtra was having e-peak pahani first, and then when AgriStack concept came, it actually started with the crops on registry, that is the e-peak pahani that was converted into digital crop survey. So what I am very focused on what you wanted in this subject. So that's basically farm tenure plurality. So in Maharashtra, fortunately, we do not have tenancy issues much because we were having the act since 1948 and most of the tenants were protected. And as of now, because of the literacy about tenancy in the society, uh, fortunately tenants are not registered in the record of rights. So we do not have active tenancy issue in the state, which I can say is reflected in the record of rights. Definitely it is going to be there, but it is not reflected in the record of rights. So in fact, if we have to start with that issue, then maybe there should be a policy decision that we should create tenancy. We should legalize tenancy and then go ahead and act on it. But we do have joint holdings, we have fragmented parcels, we have informal tenancies, we have disputed titles, pending mutations, gendered ownership gaps, and absentee ownership. Maharashtra being a state which is highly urbanized now, we have absentee ownership as a major issue, and in AgriStack we are facing issues because of the absentee ownership more than the tenancy. So in this tenure plurality, I have taken a little freedom to express that aspect also. So as you have said that AgriStack is aiming to create core digital data sets, that's farmers registry, farm registry, crop zone registry, and the georeference land parcels registry. So, next, okay. So let me tell you what I am trying to say by having fragmented land holding. So we have multiple small parcels per farmer, and why it is relevant to take into consideration for AgriStack, because AgriStack is also saying that we have to create a georeference land parcel registry. But unfortunately, as of now, the georeferencing is in the whole country mostly at the survey level, and it is not at the lowest land parcel level where the farmer is actually holding the land. So when you are considering a georeference land parcel and you are thinking that you will be able to visualize it through satellites, and you will be able to understand that the person, what kind of crops that person has sown, and you will identify and verify and validate it, you need to understand that our georeferencing is at survey level and we are speaking of the farmer. So there is a possibility that in a survey number there can be hundreds of farmers and we have not identified each farmer's corner in that survey number. So that's the fragmented land holdings problem which AgriStack has to solve. Then we have joint family ownership. As of now also there are multiple record of rights wherein the name of the is written, and there are other brothers and sisters whose names do not appear, and they don't bother because they are happy, they are happily living with that concept. They are not willing to change any kind of record of rights, making any changes in the record of rights, because they don't want to sell the land. Basically, whenever why a person approaches revenue department, it approaches revenue department only for the purpose of selling the land or heirship registration. In case of agriculture, but this is a totally different domain. They approach you for taking crop loan, taking a tractor, taking any kind of subsidy, applying for any kind of scheme. They are coming to you. So this is a second layer of service benefit, which is totally different than the record of right keeping. So this is what I feel is a problem which we need to solve. Then we have a lot of pending mutations and legal disputes. We have gender gap in recording the land ownership. As of now also people in Maharashtra proudly say that our lands are in the names of our great grandfathers. हमारे परदादा की नाम से ज़मीनें हैं. We have not divided them because they take pride in saying that we are still a united single family, and somehow the change in the record of right is considered as fragmentation in the family. So are we going to play with the feeling? This is an emotional feeling of the society that the family remains together if the lands are together. So are we going to change it for the purpose of giving benefit by changing the record of right itself? That is the third one. Fourth one. Then leaseholder and tenant cultivators are not reflected in the record of rights because firstly, as I earlier also said, the society has understood what tenancy brings and what kind of ownership rights people have lost, and because of that, as of now, at least for the Maharashtra case, I will say that we are not getting the tenants registration applications and they are not turning very much positive. Then we also have the forest right lands. Maharashtra has forest dwellers, a lot of forest dwellers, and we have over 1.94 lakh forest right dwellers, forest dwellers who are already registered on the record of rights. But as per forest department's request, they are registered in the other rights column. They are not in the occupants column. So it is again an issue, and because of which we are not able to give them farmer IDs. As I said, absentee farmers is the major issue, and then I encountered as an implementer of AgriStack this identical names issue. So, sir, in Maharashtra, if you see that there is one Naikwadi or there is one Patilwada, in which the whole village surname is Patil, and there is one Shivraj Patil who was Speaker of Lok Sabha. So there are multiple Shivraj Patil, and then so there are people who are Vishwanath Patil, and then they keep their son's name Shivraj so that it is identical to that famous person Shivraj Vishwanath Patil. So there will be multiple Shivraj Vishwanath Patil which you will find, and AgriStack works on name match score. So this is the issue which I highlighted, that for Maharashtra you have to think differently, because otherwise one Shivraj Patil who is not owning anything will claim the property of other Shivraj Patil only on the basis of name match score. So these are the three registries you have discussed. I just wanted to make a point that AgriStack digital registries must accommodate these complexities for true inclusivity. We have to make sure that this is the real record of rights situation, and from here we have to start. There are certain very fantastic ideas in our minds that record of right is a very perfect kind of record, which we need to understand, because we have to achieve a better standard than what we are looking at as AgriStack Dream. So I also will like to put some light on the SYNC challenge. What you rightly said, that the phase 1 was creation of AgriStack's farmers registry, wherein we took a database of a particular date. So Maharashtra took a October 2024 database, wherein there were 2.62 crore farmlands and around 4 crore land parcels with around 5 crore owners. So we gave this data to AgriStack, and on the basis of that, the buckets were created and validation happened. After that, there are changes by our own mutations which are happening daily. In Maharashtra, we are having around 6,500 mutations every day regarding sale, airship, partition, court orders. Now we are struggling with incorporating all these changes in the data which you have created. Why? Because the data which you have taken and the data which we are having is firstly having some changes. So we are trying to send you the historical mutation API also and live mutation API also. But I again have a question here, that Maharashtra being one of the most developed state, if we are facing these many problems, what about other states? Because unless and until AgriStack is evolved all over the country, it is not going to serve the purpose. So here comes a solution which I think should be used by all the states, which is basically replicated record of rights database, which is for the purpose of AgriStack, which will have live ROR mutations, and then this logically replicated record of rights dataset can serve as the base for AgriStack, wherein you have all the live mutations effected on the record of rights You have all the farm IDs, you have all the farmer IDs which are validated, and the draft farmer IDs which can be validated. You can have a portal under the AgriStack Commissionerate as proposed in Maharashtra, and this commissionerate will work on that portal wherein the sync challenge can 100% be solved. So this is the solution which we have come up with, and it is working well for Maharashtra. We are trying to create this whole structure. So this is the institutional architecture, sir, which we have created for AgriStack, which is basically a total different commissionerate, because AgriStack, as we are discussing, it is not only for farmers who are landowners, it is also for those who are cultivators, it is also for those who are having poultries, it is also for those who are having a small fish pond farm, it is also for those who are growing strawberry and madhumakhi wala, so all of them are going to be the databases, and we are going to create beneficiary schemes. We are going to derive statistical data of agriculture related activities from this. So all these databases should be formed together. So it cannot be done only by one revenue department or by one agriculture department. There should be a totally different entity which will take these databases, get them updated from the respective departments, and create its own database. So this is what, sir, we have proposed, that there should be a totally different structure and there should be a very good quality technical wing which will take care of all the advancements that are necessary as well as the technological challenges that should be dealt. So this is what we have proposed and is accepted in Maharashtra. Now let me go back to the second one, that is digital, the second crop source registry where we are using digital crop survey. Again, there we have the issue of tenure plurality. Cultivation is often done by sharecroppers. It is not done by the farmer himself. It is done by the leaseholders. It is done by the family members who are not there in the record of rights. It is done by the assistance laborers who are not supposed to be tenants. But we are not thinking of how to give benefit to these people. Can we have an authentication system? This is what, in fact, I have done a small pilot in Maharashtra for creating an authenticator system wherein if I am sitting in Pune and I am having my lands in Solapur, then I can authenticate a person for a particular season, that for this season, this person will do my crop survey, this person on my behalf will apply for all the benefits, and this person should get the funds in his account, not in my account. So I should have some authentication mechanism which might solve the tenure plurality only for the purpose of AgriStack, because AgriStack and keep maintaining record of right are totally different things. The purposes are different, their usages are different, their aims are different. So this is our proposed solution. So this is my last slide. So AgriStack is actually an unprecedented opportunity to transform Indian agriculture, and I really appreciate that this is the real digital public infra which we have to create. It is going to really change how Indian agriculture system works, but we also have to respect and incorporate India's unique land tenure, because land is a state subject. All governments have their own decisions and history, legacy of maintaining record of rights. You have to understand each and every record of right and come up with something like the logically replicated data set, which will give you a uniform data set across the country, because agriculture somehow is now become a central level subject, and it has to be, because AgriStack at least gives us a very, very big opportunity. So I am proposing that it should not be only AgriStack, it should be inclusive AgriStack, which will understand the uniqueness of various record of rights of various states, understand all the tenure pluralities, and incorporate them not by changing the record of rights, but by updating and upgrading it for the requirement of AgriStack. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Sarita ma'am. I think this has been a good perspective on getting into the depth of AgriStack first and then actually seeing the practical challenges. The good parts and the parts which haven't been working out the best in Maharashtra and the potential solutions for that. I mean, now over to you, Vinod sir, who has probably seen many rounds of transformations and attempts of transformations, very successful ones, and I'm sure unsuccessful ones. I'm sure there are patterns you see of things which we are doing very well and things which are probably going wrong as well. And I think there are talking the general idea of cross database integration and interoperability, while does sound good and is the dream from a technology perspective, but it does come with its own very sort of human and political challenges as well. So just I would love to hear your thoughts on how does all of this intersect with the sort of the tenancy and the tenure plurality.
Thank you, Vishnu. It's a long overdue thing which is the government of India attempting to do it now. If I see that 2-3 very good developments taking place parallelly and also which are complementary. One side, we are trying to create a glossary of terms in the revenue terminology so that the land records from one state talk to each other states. And there should be a national database land record which can be understood by everybody. This is the one attempt. Because you know that land records most of the land records are legacy land records. And India politically or administratively was not one country till the other day. And we have whatever we inherited land records are mostly the legacy of the earlier administrative system prevailed. Some of the states, within one state, there are more than one system prevailing. Karnataka had 5 systems, Maharashtra had 4 different systems, Gujarat had some other many systems, Rajasthan had many systems. Each of the state had one administrative system, and therefore integration was done after 1956 when states were formed to have one system in every state. So now I have that every state, almost every state has one system. Some of the states have 2. More than that, the system is not prevailing. So integration has taken place. That sort of integration has not taken place at the national level. Problems are many, efforts are not enough done so far, but now that's happening. Now AgriStack coming there, maybe the AgriStack sort of program comes after 10 years. Perhaps we will have integrated data land record system all over the country, and then that AgriStack will be much easier. But we cannot wait for that much time. So we have to design some sort of system. But the other day I was sitting in a seminar where we suggested to the government of India that rather than preparing a glossary of terms, we prepare a standard terminology at the national level, then each state adopts it or provides the parallel. So that will might work one way, so that the land record system from one state. Now, Sarita has very well presented the actual issues of the plurality of the tenure. Very well she has presented. I am quite pleasantly surprised that she has got so much clarity and she has hit the nail right on the head properly. There are different type of people cultivation. Our land records are not record of cultivation. So on the face of it, we call it a record of cultivation in many states. Karnataka has something called RTC, record of rights, tenancy and cultivation. Maharashtra has got is called Satbara. Sat is record of rights, Bara is record of cultivation. Andhra Pradesh has got Adangal. Adangal has got 2 parts. First part is record of rights, second part is record of cultivation, which is variable. It changes from every crop season to other crop season. Similarly, Telangana has got something called Pahani. Pahani has got again 2 parts. First part is the record of rights, second part is the record of cultivation or the enjoyment or the occupation. But what has happened is over a period of time, this second part, wherever is there, this second part is left blank or is just repeated or just not filled up. Why? We have to see the historical reason for this. when the India got independence, the land reform was a big issue for us. Most of the land was in the hands of the big landlords. And the various people who were cultivating as tenants to these landlords. So one of the part of the land reforms, one of the reforms was to protect the tenancies. So many states passed laws where they listed down the tenants actually cultivating the land and passed a law saying that they cannot be evicted. So tenants become permanent tenancies. And that these tenants could not sell their rights to tenancy, but the landowners could not evict them. The eviction right was taken away. And tenancy was inheritable but not alienable. Subsequently, some of the states went a step further. In the first state with Andhra Pradesh, Hyderabad state, West Bengal, Odisha, many states have passed this law and tenants are protected. Some states went a step further, amended the law or saying that the tenants which are protected earlier could also become full owners by paying off some 8 times, 10 times, 50 times or 20 times of the land revenue. A small amount of the owners. So that sort of a fear, this act created a fear in the minds of the people that when the tenants are there, if they come on record, then tomorrow maybe some law can be passed and these tenants will be protected and we will lose our right to alienate them. Or another law can be passed. Lot of slogans we keep hearing now and then. The programs, land to the tiller, the person who soils his hand owns the soil. The sort of slogans we keep hearing from time to time. So these slogans and the past experience of the landowner has created a big fear in the minds of the landowners, and they don't allow the actual cultivators to become recorded. So the result is that most of these land records in most of the states have become the second part, which I explained, that record of cultivation. Though technically the record of cultivation, but de facto no cultivation is recorded actually. Everywhere I see that they record self-cultivation. The sales might have died 220 years ago, but still self-cultivation. Ownership has not changed, but cultivation is recorded as self-cultivation. Not even in Sanskrit is recorded there, many places. So the recording has become totally useless record. Why? Because the basic fear is this. This is the basic reason for this all. If we are able to remove this basic fear and give an assurance to the landowners that yes, your rights also will be protected, and who is cultivating the land, his right also, in whatever manner he is cultivating all right, but he is cultivating the land, you will also get some benefits. That is the permanent and long-lasting solution for that. And that's how the Planning Commission or the Niti Aayog now has given a drafted a land leasing law, model law, and subject to all the states to enact it. That is this basic. So the philosophy behind is this. So this tries to protect assures the landowners that your right of ownership is not protected. And as soon as the lease or the arrangement is terminated, the ownership or the possession both reverts back to the owner. If it doesn't revert back, anything, the Tehsildar or the Revenue Department will immediately act. And the first thing will be the ownership and possession will be reverted back to the owner. And subsequently all other things will take place. Then the arrangement between the two parties is left to them. How much rent they give, how much they do not do, to be left to the marketplaces. This is an ideal arrangement to be made. But what happens is like that they say that जब लोग होने लगे की तब लोग फूल करील जब तक केतकी का फूल नहीं खिलता है तब तक करील के फूल से काम चलाओ. तो जब तक वो लैंड लीजिंग के लॉ पूरे स्टेट में नहीं आते हैं तब तक we have to find a solution for this so that the actual cultivator, whether it's a tenant or whether it's a relative of the or family member of the owner or whether it's a sharecropper or there is an assistant or a laborer, how do we recognize and put them on is the actual question. I think this is the crux of the issue which we are discussing today. How do we identify the person who are actually cultivating the land other than the owner and bring him on record so that the benefit can be passed on to him of the AgriStack. This is the crux of it. And Sarita has given a very good solution for that. Saying that cultivator can give an authorization. He will be also only called authorized person. And this authorization is only for the sake of taking the benefits, nothing else. And he will not come on any record anywhere else, except AgriStack. So whatever for that purpose, this also she has given another very good suggestion, is that ROR becomes the base. Now we operate in a GIS system. We got digital system. We are not operating paper record. So RO is the base. One layer is the AgriStack. Agriculture department puts another layer which is only for the purpose of agriculture benefits. This has nothing to do with the ROR. The basic ROR doesn't get affected. Now what you are doing till now, earlier, till about 20 years or 25 years back, a revenue department was the one which was recording the cultivation particulars. And agriculture department was not collecting any other data. Now over the period of time, agriculture department started collecting data. And the revenue department, which data was collected for cultivation, is not used by anybody for any purpose. That's also one of the reasons of not recording that or not recording, fudging it or just repeating it. Because it's not used for anybody, nobody looks at it. It's not useful for any purpose. So that is also, that's fine. So let's give it away. Another layer which is not, revenue record ROR is a legally sanctified record. It has got legal implications. It can be used for enforcing your rights over the land. So first part, let it remain so same so. But the agriculture operation, cultivation, etc., which agriculture department records, is not legally sanctified data. It is not used for as an evidence for any other purpose except as a collateral evidence, saying that I was cultivating in what category. And this is not a legally sanctified data, second part of it. So that can remain as a non-sanctified data, which can be recorded as a layer or by the agriculture department or any other department, and without affecting the basic ROR. This could be one solution. Second solution would be what Sarita has suggested, that let him authorize the every person and do it. I have to my mind that till that original thing, the permanent solution comes, perhaps this will be the one thing which can be done, which can work very well. Maybe you can consider that and maybe something can be done. But I should compliment that Government of India again. Also the micro-save are doing a very good work and creating such a good, beautiful system called AgriStack. Let's hope that it will become soon become reality and will benefit our public.
Thanks a lot, Vinod sir, for your perspective. Maybe I think now I'll open it to the audience. I'm sure all of you have had your own diverse set of experiences. For any questions, perspectives.
Sir, my name is Girish Rao.
Is everyone able to hear, or should I pass it over?
I am a land record expert in West Africa. Now, I have heard about the AgriStack, but recently I came across this thing. Now, what I derived from this discussion is AgriStack has three components. One is the land component, which is a georeference based map. It's a farmer identification, and third is a crop register. Now, your target is a farmer. So you first don't go into the what I feel. It may not be correct, it may be correct. But from the domain expert I am talking. This farmer is not. If it is a definition of farmer in the legal sense is different. But if your target group is a man who is cultivating that land, you should define them. If it is already defined, it's okay. Now, there is. It is not necessary that every farmer, every person, as Madam pointed out, or Sir is also pointed out, every person who is cultivating that land may not be a owner, may be a tenant, may not be a tenant. It is just a stopgap arrangement, like Madam told that if somebody is staying in the city and owning the land in the village, so he may give that sharing basis. So the fear of owner is that once the name appears somewhere that this man is cultivating land, his rights gone. In any way, in Maharashtra, what we experienced, the revenue officers will tell you, a wrong entry by the patwari into the crop register, which was not that somebody name of the owner is A and cultivating person is B, which is returned. To remove that, he has to fight that whole life for the removing this thing. So this type of apprehension is there into the minds of the owners. So the entry in the, as Sir pointed out, your data set or the names of the farmers, you should not insist on the ROR integration, because your entry into the AgriStack may take reverse consequences on the RORs. So your data set may be validated with the ROR, or maybe there's some ancillary information which is an authentic one. And your data set should not be a part of the ROR. I think it is, if you are okay with this. Secondly, the representation of the farm sketch, georeferral farm sketch, which is a very difficult thing. I have seen during my service tenure, I am retired now. So while conducting the resurvey of the land, because land parcels which are existing, whatever you have shown, that is a farm sketch. It is not representing land boundary, actual land boundary of the concerned person. And secondly, there are numerous subdivisions divided but not reflected into the map. This map in the AgriStack as a owner's map may be correct in some states, may not be correct in some states. So unless, and there is a real challenge before all survey departments and all the state governments or revenue departments also integrate the spatial data. It is a mirroring it's a mirroring of the ground situation. So you should rethink that why this farm sketch was incorporated there. And if it is there, then you should reflect the correct picture of the farmer. That's all. Thank you.
I answer the first part. In no way do we allow the data from the AgriStack farmer registry to get reflected back into the ROR. The first data we take as a source, no doubt, from ROR, but whatever I think ground validation we do post that, we don't allow it to go back.
You are like, there is an instruction by state central government that farmer ID should be included in record of rights, which is not right.
I think so, ma'am, that will get updated then
Because
that's
see, farmer ID is a part and parcel and necessity of AgriStack, not the record of rights.
agreed.
So it should just be a part of the AgriStack register, not the record of rights.
I think that will get updated because the whole idea when we built was that whatever data we take out from record of rights, it will be reflection into the farmer registry, but nothing from farmer registry needs to flow back into record of rights because we have kept the ownership rights separate from the cultivation rights that's in the farmer registry.
That disclaimer should be there somewhere.
I think so. Initially, it was. I don't know
It's
how
okay.
the ministry has. I think when dealing with the states, is changing. Second, sir, I think so. Coming on the contextual and the reflection of the maps, and I'll try to answer ma'am's one point also on the developed states also. So the ideal scenario is where we get the sub-parcel subdivision level maps into to reflect the ground reality into the digital crop server system. That is the end goal. Okay. But each state is at a different level of maturity, and each state has, and some states don't even have proper, I would say, cadastral maps digitized and vectorized also. Okay, and I think so. That's the ideal goal. That's the guideline that has been issued to each state that we need the ground reality as it is or subdivision that is happening, and we need it in as soon as you can provide it. So some states are doing very well on that. The ideal is exactly what you suggested. We try to get it down to that level where the subdivision or sub-parcel is the last is we've stuck to the khasra level where we have at least and capture the data at that level. As subdivision, we'll keep on reflecting it to that. And the point cultivation that we want to reflect. I think, ma'am, we have done one pilot we are doing in MP where cultivation that we want to reflect. I think, ma'am, we have done one pilot we are doing in MP where we have made the household ID trying to link it to the farm ID. Okay. Where we say that, okay, the Samagra ID, where we say that, okay, these are the household people available, these are the farmer that has been identified by AgriStack, and this needs to be given as cultivation rights. Okay, there we brought it down and we've tried to link it back to the ROR system also. There we have the lag between actual data and actual cultivation data down to 1 or 2 days. So we are trying to do that, and that's the whole aim. But I think eventually we'll get to it because as so you also mentioned, ma'am also highlighted and sir also highlighted that land is a very complex issue, and we are not going to change anything into the record. We're just taking data from source, which is changing as we talk or as we're doing changes in the main system at the center. So yes, I completely agree. The idea is whatever you highlighted, and that's we're trying to incorporate. That's the end goal. But I think it will take time to establish that thing.
I just have a question. Why do you need a parcel map or a georeference parcel map for the purpose of AgriStack? A farmer's name and to the extent of land is cultivating should be good enough. Just supplementing that, there are certain states like Telangana which have no parcel maps and there is no survey or subdivision done for last more than 100 years. How do you manage that?
Maybe, sir, on the first one, why do we sort of need parcel maps? For example, there are certain use cases which are very basic use cases, right? If you know the farmers, you can sort of, and you know the land extent, you can provide, say, the fertilizer subsidy. But considering something like the Fasal Bima Yojana, right? You need to identify probably who the farmer is, what exactly the land parcel is, and basis, on as of now, considering the Fasal Bima Yojana is not a parametric sort of insurance. But once you have some of these the parcel lands and where exactly the exactly the land parcel is, some of these Fasal sort of the schemes can be very specifically targeted to these because considering the challenges that still exist in terms of estimating the loss once a farmer claims, or maybe at a scale it's easy when the government does it, but when it's to an individual farmer, say the crop is burnt or something like that, or maybe a pest attack at a particular parcel level, then if that parcel is mapped and maybe basis on high resolution based geo sort of satellite based mapping, that becomes a bit easy. So maybe the use cases which require, say, identifying farmer and also the parcel at a specific location, probably for some of these use cases, that's the ultimate sort of, or the long-term goal of having this AgriStack.
So when this question of sir is very relevant because we also asked this question that how are you going to use the georeference parcel map data, especially when you are not able to identify a particular person's holding in a particular survey number, and of course it is not georeference, you cannot even identify it from that parcel because, so if we just select say parcel number 100 and there are 5 parts in it, so even the person who is adjacent to the farmer will not be able to say कि ये खेत किसका है. It's not possible. It's humanly impossible. We have tried to do that. That's why I'm saying that it is not possible. Plus, when we spoke with bankers, they told us that it will be useful for us to issue crop loans as well as Fasal Bima, like crop insurance. But both these things are done when there is no crop on the field. Crop loan is issued for buying seeds. Crop insurance is given for insuring the crop. And the validation of actually there is some damage to the crop is very much relevant because crop cannot be damaged without a visual effect. It is very much possible. You need not have a satellite for something which is very much in front of your eyes. If that there was floods or if there were heavy rains, it is very much evident. So maybe you have to think of the right use cases for using the georeferenced land parcel registry. That is what my take on it.
Just one addition over here. Instead of land parcel map, you can say the photograph of the field. That will reduce the complexity of the issue. Legal complexity, I am saying. Secondly, if you are using a satellite map, you are ensuring, I think, when the image was taken. Means when you are recording the data, the image of satellite imagery should be from that period only.
Maybe we are thinking of future where the system develops where every 15 days the satellite image is taken.
That's their thinking, sir.
Compare that.
There is a special provision when freely available satellite images may be older period, but for such a project, maybe they are getting some updated. We just make lot of cost.
So I think from
May not be correct.
when you're building infrastructure like AgriStack, I feel we're also thinking 25 years ahead.
So, lot of caution. May not be my presumption, may not be correct. Also.
But also, maybe in the interest of time, we can also move on to others. I think you had a question, right? Do you want the mic?
No, I'm good. I think
Okay.
everyone can hear me. Yeah. I think
That's what you think.
I can use the mic. It's useful, yeah.
Go on.
I think two questions, which is, and this comes from some of the consultations we've done with farmers on AgriStack itself and their concerns, which is I think India has spent the last few decades trying to define what a farmer is itself, and a significant concern emerges is that is AgriStack the definition of who a farmer is, and it feeds into all of the tendency questions we have, but also into the questions of landless laborers, women, caste-related concerns. And so is this going to become that single source of truth architecture in defining who a farmer is? And that's going to be incredibly risky because up until 2011, which of course the last census, almost 60% of farmers in India were landless laborers. And the way they access, and the definition is one thing, but the definition is also how they end up accessing subsidies as well as benefits from the government. And so there are several subsidies not connected to your land registration. It's also simply because you self-identify as a farmer. So has the team sort of taken that into account while building out the system? Because we're deeply connecting registration of land to the definition of a farmer. The second question that I'm interested in is the future plans of private players in the AgriStack ecosystem. I think we've seen some experiences with previous land digitization schemes, right from say the Bhumi project, where geospatial data on land parcels was used to extensively acquire land in like urban peripheries because that information was made available to private players. So beyond that individual consent mechanism, what are some of the safeguards that the team is thinking of while building this architecture? Because we are in an era of where credit is highly becoming automated. There's also several algorithms that are determining credit. If a farmer's failure of crop from 5 years ago is now going to determine interest rates 10 years down the line, what are those safeguards that we're looking at? Because ultimately this is a pot of information from private players, and there seems to be no regulation in space as well.
So I can answer this first. The first part that we need, why do we need geoparcels? I think that decision came, georeference parcels, was on the quality of data that we got from different states. Okay, a lot of states, I think, historically have digital applications both for farmers, for farmer crop survey reporting and everything. And the data, there was a big mismatch on ground and what was into the digital system. So the whole idea came in for georeferencing and linking it back to the textual data was to solve two parts. One, that since AgriStack becomes the single source of truth or single source of data, as we go ahead, we need it at to the granular level, basis the use cases that we want to offer. Credit, insurance, crop advisory, precision advisory. Because traditionally what happens is, okay, we make a scheme, we give away these use cases, for example, cases, or we give PMUI. A lot of farmers across states don't pick it up, or they are not very keen to take up advisory. For example, we did one national pilot with DBT fertilizer where we integrated the soil health card. Soil health card as such gives advice which is dated, plus it's not very on ground and linked to a specific farmer. It's within the command area where the soil health card happens, where they give recommendations generally to everyone and nobody wants to pick up. So one was to solve, we needed georeference, was to solve the quality of data that we are giving, because what AgriStack or what we are doing through the crop survey application is, we take the data from both the combinations, we geofence the data. So if you're not within the field, you can't report the data. Traditionally what people had been doing was clicking pictures or getting it from somebody and reporting data, and there was a lot of mismatch that was coming out in the data. So that's why the final recommendations came from the ministry was that we get georeference maps. Secondly, and geofence and geolocate for reporting for each state. Second, what we wanted to do was get that parcel level information, because one side we say that we want the maps to reflect what's the actual reality for each ownership, but at the same time we should get the same thing in cultivation rights also. We need ground reality of each and every one parcel, because a lot of schemes that we are rolling out is based still on historical data. For example, DBT fertilizer planning or seed planning or multiple things that we roll out is on historical data reported by the state government, by the PACs, by FPOs, but there is no clear cut. I think when we started fertilizer rollout back in 2017 was to get down the bill down from 70,000 crore. Now we have reached somewhere the subsidy is around 150, 1,60,000 crores. So that's a big issue. On now coming to the privacy part of it, yes, we've taken that into account. And I'll answer the first part. How do we want to use the data? Okay. So what we are planning right now is eventually the first case, like for every government infrastructure, is to solve for the government itself. Okay. We are doing it for targeting better schemes, but there are two sandboxes within the AgriStack design. One is on the legal aspect of it. Second is on this, how do we open the data to private sector? So one is being handled by SEBI. Second is there's a consultative group sitting on it, which is working. How do we open the data? Because we wanted this time it to be a bi-directional approach. One, we want to solve is, okay, we give the data to different agtechs who can consume it to define their production and everything. But there are a lot of agtechs which are themselves sitting on a lot of farmer data. That data might be fragmented. How can that be pulled back into the system? Because we don't want to reinvent the wheel again, where we're just telling them, solving three problems. Okay, we're telling you what's your land, crop, and adding it to the government ministries. But there are large farmers who are accessing these actives, small scale farmers also, who have provided this data. So can that be pulled in? And then there's the legal one that's still being, how do we protect it? So on the privacy part of it, yes, we're going to align with the Data Protection Act. And we are giving that option to the farmer. So there's a farmer portal within the AgriStack application, which gives you the right to suspend your data sharing capability whenever you feel like. So when you feel that, or you want to select it for certain use cases also, that is also being built into it. So suppose you just want to share it with the Department of Fertilizer, you have to for the government programs. But for a private player, you want to share it with banks, but you don't want to share it with some other acting which is providing for equipment. You can suspend it wherever and whenever you want it. So that protocol and that framework is already built into it, and farmers are able to use it. Yes, the part that needs to be catered is on the literacy part of it, how to use it, because not all farmers will be able to do it. Third is on the groups, how to segments that are covered. Yes, we have identified different segments, because like for women and for cultivators who will get, I would say, there is some kind of exclusion in the start, but that's I think what we discussed. I think the ministry had a workshop day before only to discuss on this. How do we, till the time the data gets saturated, we cover all these segments within the agriculture sector. So what we are, and like Sir also mentioned, that there is a model act to identify certain of them. We are using different, trying to do it, linking it to Samagra for women, like when potentially we're trying to build the GLG model, if we can bring that into AgriStack. So we are experimenting. There's no such definition, but it will come eventually before we go ahead. But the whole idea is not to exclude anyone from the whole ecosystem.
Yeah, I think we have time for one more question. Yeah, maybe two of you can ask and we can answer it collectively. Yeah.
So I wanted to ask Sarika ma'am about the commons question, which is what is Maharashtra really doing about the commons? Because commons is not just suffering from the tenancy plurality, but also use plurality. So you have different livelihoods attached to it, you have different departments attached to it. And this question comes from the fact that we work at Apti Institute. We had a panel at the first panel on the first day about our methodology within the Common Ground initiative, where we are trying to ground truth some of the usages, some of the tenancy, some of the ownership.
I think we'll take this question off.
Sure. I could do that.
You have something to ask? Okay.
So I think let's close. Yeah.
Yes, super. Yeah.
I think let's close the session. Yeah, you guys can speak about it later. Thanks a lot for these insights, all of you. Obviously, we can take many of these discussions offline as and when. Thank you.